I feel like Atlas, using my arms to bear the weight of my sadness and my legs to support the pressure of my breath. You could see me from a mile away. Not from the load I am carrying, but the way in which I carry on a hot and sunny morning. Under lovely, clear blue skies, a little worrysaurus was opening his eyes. He skipped along with happy legs across the golden sand and thought about the day that he had plotted, sketched, and planned. I am 7 years old, sitting at my desk in school. Everyone around me is scribbling down answers, except me. I'm frozen. But here's the thing, I know the answers. I've choked. This is what happens during every single one of these oral math quizzes. I fail them all. Symptoms of a panic attack may include physical sensations of fear, which include but are not limited to anxiety from muscle trembling, fatigue, tension, and more. Fear ambushes me. At first, I'm fine. I'm groggy from a late night of studying, but I'm fine. And then, a second later, I'm not. If you have anxiety, I'm sure you've heard at least one of these. You're overreacting. Just take a deep breath. Everyone has anxiety. And while it is true that yes, everyone can feel anxious sometimes, not everyone has anxiety. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, about 4.7% of US adults in the United States will experience a panic disorder at some point in their lives. To feel anxious before a big test or performance is normal, but irrepressible, uncontrollable anxiety is not. So today, through the novels On Edge, Journey Through Anxiety by Andrea Peterson, My Name is Hope by John Mark Comer, the poem Heavy by Ari B. Colfer, the children's book The Worrysaurus by Rachel Bright, and articles from The Guardian, Healthline, and the National Institute of Mental Health, more than a deep breath, a program. Because I know that I'm overreacting, but I don't know how to stop. A lovely, yummy picnic, a delicious summer spread. Worrysaurus liked it when he knew what lay ahead, but he hadn't gotten far. You see, it hadn't been that long before his busy head dreamed up some things that might go wrong. Some kids really want to participate, but when they're called on, they freeze up. Other kids, they want their work to be so perfect that they end up not turning it in at all. Teachers may label these students as lazy, uncommitted, but the truth is that many of these students are suffering from an undiagnosed anxiety disorder. I wasn't surprised when my second grade report card came home with a big U, or unsatisfactory achievement in math. In fact, I even traced over the U in black pen as if to highlight my shame. My parents, however, were stunned. My written tests and homework had come home nearly errorless, but I hadn't told them about those awful oral quizzes. I've learned to carry the world on my shoulders, taught myself to lift others up with a straight spine and tucked chin, taught myself to carry baggage with calloused palms. Fast forward to the year after high school. 19 years old and wrapping up my first year of college. Something inside me changed, almost overnight. At first, it was May, life was good, I was soaking up the Baja sun, but something inside me turned dark. I was a nervous wreck, stressed out, scared, uptight, wound up, driven to insomnia by the what-ifs that plagued my mind. Suddenly, from nowhere, a lizard skittered by, shouting in a squeaky yelp and pointing at the sky. I heard a storm is coming. I think it's on its way. Well, that really put a cloud above his worrysaurus day. Stressors that may make students more vulnerable to anxiety and burnout in college include living away from home for the first time, thus perhaps feeling homesick, managing difficult coursework and schedules, increased social pressures, new financial pressures, the list goes on. I took Klonopin. Twice, sometimes 3 times a day. It was no match for my terror. I worried constantly and formulated these elaborate plans. How I'd take leave from my job to care for my ailing child. I would take videos of my daughter healthy so I could remember her when she was sick. I neatly folded suicide notes into paper cranes, placed them at the bottom of my bag where they are crushed and forgotten, and under this weight, I am feeling crushed and forgotten, and am I stuck here? I'm trapped. I'm alone, and I'm trapped, and I began to think it would be easier to not wake up at all. I didn't want to die. I was terrified of dying. But I couldn't see any other way to escape how I felt. A storm, said Worrysaurus, when it's so hot and dry and sunny, but the news became a butterfly that flittered in his tummy. Should he find a place to hide, a cave for shelter? And while I am strong enough to bear these burdens, I think what I'm trying to say is that everything feels so heavy. My chest feels like it weighs 1,000,000 pounds, and I feel pressure on the back of my neck, and it takes effort to breathe. My mind spins and leaves me dizzy, my hands hang low and heavy and numb, and my entire body erupts in these waves of sensation. It's like I'm drowning, like someone is holding my head underwater as fear screams through my body. It's like I'm suffocating, like I'm holding my head in a pillow and thrashing about in violent panic. I can't do this. I can't feel this. I can't make it stop. My anxiety has never felt like this. Anxiety is when fear moves from the tangible to the hypothetical. Anxiety is when the what-ifs of life suffocate your brain. Anxiety is when your chest is tight, your breathing shallow, your head dizzy. Anxiety is a paradox. To carry the weight of the world and still believe that I am not needed. The good news is you don't have to keep feeling that way. While anxiety is one of the most common mental illnesses in the United States, it's also among the most treatable, and many people have found that their condition can be managed, at least in part, by holistic therapies and lifestyle treatments. I eventually went to outpatient. I attended individual and group therapy, and the anxiety is still there. But for the first time in my life, I can manage these bubbling feelings. For the first time, I have the tools to mitigate them so they don't take over my mind. And for the first time, it's like I can live my life instead of clawing my way through it. I am tired of carrying this heaviness inside and out, and I'm beginning to wonder if there's a way I can feel good inside without using my ends as a way out. So then he thought of something that his mommy liked to say. Oh, my little Worrysaurus, chase that butterfly away. So he put away his fears inside his Worrysaurus head, freed his little butterfly for happy thoughts instead. I'll chase my fears away, he said. All is well and all is good and everything's okay. So for the first time in years, I allowed myself to unpack. And at the bottom of my bag, I found paper cranes, suicide notes that read, I am tired of feeling this way. I threw them away. Because the best way to feel lighter is to lighten the load.